Hi everyone, vlogging to you from my car, shocker. I need to sit in the shade because here, look at this. Oh, this is fun. So there's my one eye, which is normal, and look at my other eye. Ooh, hopefully you can see that. It is super dilated. And I have my glasses on, obviously, which is a problem because it keeps banging into my ear. I can't remember if I told you, or if I don't think I've vlogged since I got this little friend of mine here. I'll explain that more tomorrow because my 21st Lupron is tomorrow. But I wanted to come on here quick because I came from a doctor appointment that had nothing to do with cancer. But why do I have one pupil dilated, you ask? Well, and I don't, like I said, I don't think I vlogged about this last time. I can't even freaking keep track. But I tore my retina 2 weeks ago. Because like nothing else is going on in life, so why not have that fucking happen? Anyway, I'm not gonna go through the whole rigmarole of that. It's just like, it's just something else, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I started seeing floaters. Like, I have floaters anyway, most people have floaters, but my floaters were changing, and I'm like, that can't be a good sign, and they went away after a couple of days, and then came back like way worse, and I went to the eye doctor and they immediately got me in for laser surgery to cauterize around my tear. So but the tear is 2 weeks now and it is healing well, but it's not like you have laser surgery and like boom, it just heals. Nothing to do with breast cancer. It's just like, it's one more thing. And anyone who's gone through the C word can, I'm sure, relate that like you just kind of want a freaking break after a while. Like, you want to not go to the doctor's office. You want to not pay attention to how much is in your health savings account to pay for all your stuff. Like, oh my God, the amount of money I owe right now for doctor's appointments is insane. The whole healthcare system here is like ridiculous, which I know I've talked about before. But anyway, I don't have any super big goal for today, other than the fact that it's the day before my 21st Lupron, which is crazy. Once I hit 24 Luprons, then we figure out what the hell to do with my ovaries or see what my body does with all this stuff. I look skinny-ish today, so that's good. I'm wearing a shirt that is one of my my salvage shirts from flooding, but I'm noticing that all my stuff is falling apart. All of my shoes, I wear a pair of shoes like twice, and then the top gets separated from the bottom, so we'll see what the hell happens. You have to just frickin' go with the flow. But as always, I've had a very emotional sensory past week. It's crazy to me that after having these frickin' injections 20 times, that I still have these like reactions, or not even reactions, like pre-actions. I've been using the sensory dough, which helps a little bit. My fidget cube has been great. Well, I will mention this in case I forget tomorrow. So this was like, I've always wanted a tattoo on my wrist, and I went to a tattoo parlor with a friend of mine. And I'm like, I don't want to do the tattoo right now, partly because it's the summer too. But I definitely don't want to have my nipples be my first tattoo. So, and I don't want to do my wrist tattoo until it's the fall, mostly because of the sun and stuff. So what do I do instead? I get my helix pierced, and I picked out this really cool earring, and I'm like, I want to have this done. And she's like, no, little one. She's like, you don't start with a helix piercing that big. I'm like, okay. So I just got this for right now, and I get why she said not to have the big chunky one, especially when you have a lot of hair, because it gets caught in there, and like, it's very easy to hit it, and then it hurts. The weird thing is that I feel like this has helped with my sensory stuff. Because it hurts, I feel like it distracts from the other like needs for input that my body usually has. I'm not condoning like putting holes in your body to alleviate anything, but you hear about people that get whatever that's called. I keep thinking of dais, but I think that's like a biblical thing. Isn't a dais like when something with church? Anyway, like there's a part in your ear that you can get pierced, and it helps with migraines. And And I always wondered, like, you know, why do people get like nose piercings? Because I would think when you sneeze, like, that can't be comfortable, or even to have your lip pierced or whatever. And then I did this just to kind of be like, to have some control, like, I'm doing this and I want to have this done. And it'll take, I didn't realize it was such a project. I thought I could just like have it pierced and have some fun with it and off I go. But it's, you have to be super careful because they get infected pretty easily. So I'm using, I was actually told specifically not to use rubbing alcohol and not to use antibiotic ointments. Ugh, my car is dirty. Because they actually make things, for a helix one at least, it actually makes things worse. So I'm using Dial antibacterial soap when I'm like in the shower and stuff. And then I use this, like the sea salt. It's like a saline spray basically, but I got it from them. It's a sea salt spray, and I just spray it and then wipe it with a Q-tip to keep it clean. And it's kind of like, you know what, like I've been poked and prodded so much, like I'm choosing this poking and prodding. So yes, it's a control thing. That C word seems to pop up all the time, which is why I got my ear or my helix pierced. So I have to wait 3 months. I gotta wait 3 months before I can put my cool earring in, but that's okay. And hopefully it won't get infected. And you can't sleep on that side too, because like if you sleep on it, it hurts. And putting glasses on and off, which was not great timing. Like I had the tear and then 2 days later went to get this pierced, which was again probably not great timing. But you know, there's so much stuff that you don't have control over with this whole cancer garbage that like, oh wait, my smoothie's in the sun. Hold on. I also, my pop socket broke. I treated myself to a smoothie. I'm gonna put it down here. Ugh. After I came back from the eye doctor, because I talked before about like treating yourself like you're a little kid sometimes, just to take care of yourself. And I'm like, I did a good job at the eye doctor. It's a lot to have your eyes poked and prodded at too. And to not be able to see well. Like it takes a long time for a retinal tear to heal. And of course there's always a concern about it detaching, and that surgery is like insane. And when they told me that it tore, well, I of course went home at night and started Googling, which totally don't Google if you have a retinal tear. You shouldn't really Google much of anything medical anyway. But the surgery requires, like, when you're done, you have to lay on your stomach because your face has to be like basically hanging down. And as a single person, I'm like, how the hell do I even do that? But that hasn't happened. And that's where I go the week before Lupron, is that it's worst case scenario week. You know, what's the worst thing that could happen? So a lot of stupid little things like that happened. I dropped my phone and the cover cracked and my pop socket fell off. And I could have looked to find it and pick it up, but I'm trying to go about my life right now with like slow movements. I did this meditation thing, and they're like, if you're moving super fast and things are like falling or breaking or not going your way, you just need to slow down. So the place where I am, especially after all the freaking crazy, I hate when my foot taps like a mile an hour and I can't, or a million miles an hour, and I can't seem to control it and make it stop. It just kind of stops on its own eventually. It's just weird to see that happening. And it happened when I was at home and my kids saw it, and I was trying to keep it under control, but I'm like, you know what? I hate when people say, like, people that are not in tune with themselves, I hate when they say, like, you know, oh, you know, you don't need to cry, or, you know, hold your feelings in and be strong and all this other shit. Like, I know I'm strong, but like, it's okay to cry. I got more like cards and just like memes sent to me recently that just said, you know, it's okay to cry. And sometimes they're really freaking ugly cries, and you need to let it out. You need to let it out, or else you're going to lose your friggin' mind. And it's not like, after doing it for so long, like, because of the way our culture is, you just think that people that cry a lot of the time are like weak, and they're not. Like, it means a lot to be able to let down your guard to just cry, especially in front of somebody else. And sometimes you just need to do that. And like I said, the week before Lupron, this is what it's been like for me. And it just sucks. Surprisingly, like my son graduated from college this past weekend. So now both my kids are at home, which is glorious. No, seriously, I wasn't being sarcastic. I don't have a lot of emotion. Aside, like I had my bouts of crying and stuff, but like weirdly, I only ugly cried for like a second or something during graduation. The moods change so fast that week before Lupron, at least for me. It's hard to freaking keep up with like what I should be expecting. And I thought I would be crying a lot. Like I did pretty good makeup for the weekend, and I only needed a tissue once, and I was surprised because that's not usually how I am. Like I'm, in the moment and love my kids like incredibly, and I was surprised that I didn't cry more than I did. I almost felt kind of numb through a lot of it, not because of the experience, because of this is where I am in the cycle with my Lupron. And it's just interesting. It's like there's all these different versions of you when you're on Lupron, depending on where you are in the cycle of getting your next shot. And it's, of course, mixed in with, like, menopause. But, like, I can't say the menopause is something new. I've been on Lupron for almost 2 years now. So, like, I don't know. I feel like my body is like, pretty used to it. But I just don't really get the cycle of why it's still, like, why the sensory things still pop up and why I have to, like, basically live differently the week before my Lupron. I tend to stay away from people. The oncology psychologist told me not to do that and just, like, still, like, exist in society. And I'm like, I don't want to be around people. I don't want to have to apologize for how I am if I'm too, like, snappy or something. So I do find it easier to just be on my own, and just doing my own thing. And, yeah, the not caring thing is just interesting to be back in that space where, like, a lot of things I'm like, whatever. Like, even when he told me that I tore my retina, like, when that happened, like, I did not leave the eye doctor for quite some time because they don't mess around with that. Because if you tear your retina, like, there is potential risk of your retina detaching, which is really bad. And they got me in, like, right away. So, like, they dilated me, like, 3 or 4 times. And, like, I'm like, I didn't wake up that morning expecting to have freaking laser surgery. It was just nuts. But I felt like I couldn't cry then because I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to cry. Like, I don't know if crying will screw up something with the tear. I don't know. I know my tear ducts are in the front, but, like, it all is attached. So, like, how the hell does that work? But I just sat in the waiting room like, this is just something else that happens. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're kind of young to have this happen. I'm like, I'm 51. I know, I don't look it. They're like, you're kind of young to have this happen. And I'm like, yeah. When I got the breast cancer diagnosis, they categorized me to be in the young category because I wasn't 50 yet when I was diagnosed. And you just, like, take in the news and you're like, all right, like, what do you need to do to my body? Whatever. Just go along with stuff. And what was interesting, though, was when I went to leave, I couldn't even remember half of what he said I remember, like, 2 major things he said to look out for. But I did have to go to the eye doctor twice afterwards to check on things because alarming things were happening and I thought something else was wrong. But apparently it's just part of the healing process. But it's interesting how, like, when you have a cancer diagnosis and, like, literally you don't know if you're going to survive it or not in the beginning, at least, when you don't have all the information. And everything else just becomes small. Like, everything else is just like, whatever, at least for me. You can't hyperanalyze everything because it's just like, I'm talking about, like, life or death here. And everything else just becomes unimportant. So, like, yeah, I'm all my emotional sensory state, and then I get this freaking retinal tear on top of it. Like, what great timing is that? And I'm like, just do what you gotta do. What am I gonna do? So I'm walking around today with one freaking dilated pupil and one not. It's supposed to be 90-some degrees outside today, so it's gonna be pretty sunny. So I'm gonna be like, I can't say. I don't know. And apparently there's something like sandy on my leg. I don't know what that said either. All right, gratitude. Gratitude. I am thankful. I have great legs. I am great. I was noticing that today. I had my nails and my toes done. I don't like my toes like at all. That's another story. That has nothing to do with cancer whatsoever. Now everyone's gonna be staring at my toes. So I had my toes done. So this morning I went to put on sandals, a pair that didn't fall apart, and we'll see if these fall apart. And then I was sitting in the lighting in the doctor's office, and the eye doctor's office is actually very appealing for someone who's pale. And I sat down and I'm like, my legs look really nice today. So I have good legs. So I will put that as my positive thing. Gratitude. Gratitude. I'm very grateful that my eye is healing as it is, and not getting any worse. And my last thing of gratitude is that I'm grateful that I have learned to slow things down and take care of myself by, like, my imaginary, like, little Jen who's with me is like, good job done at the doctor's today. You know, gotta go back to the doctor tomorrow. And let's go get yourself a smoothie, and let's get a muffin too, you know, because you complained about your weight. But let's get a muffin. Well, little Jen doesn't complain about her weight, but let's get a muffin and a smoothie and just go about our day. So just go about your day. One last thing I'm going to leave you with before I scoot out. My viewership is like, one of my videos is up to 10,000 views, and I'm like, what? It's amazing. And as much as I didn't want to be like the poster child of like breast cancer as like who I am in the world, I don't know. It seems like that's kind of happening because I'm not even like trying. I'm just doing what I'm doing, and then people are watching, which I'm so grateful to be able to help other people, and I'm so grateful for the people that are helping me. I'll talk more about the paving program soon because that's finishing up, and I'm doing 5K, not walking. I'll explain that more later too. But the thought that's in my head right now, and of course my head's like because it's like the day before Lupron, is switching formats, like not stopping the YouTube stuff because I'm glad that I could talk for 17 minutes or whatever, but switching over to TikTok as a humorous thing. You know, like obviously very short videos, like not like dialogue-y things like this, but things that are funny. I'm not like joking about breast cancer, but you have to have some fucking humor with all this shit or you'd lose your goddamn marbles. Sorry, God, didn't mean to use your name in vain. So I'm curious that if I did start a TikTok channel, what like things that you find that are funny or things that you'd want to even hear about, just like, you know, quick topics of things that you might want to hear about for TikTok videos. And I have no idea. I'll have to place them because I have a TikTok channel, but I've never actually posted a video on it. So I don't know. We'll see. That's where my thought was. But that's when I started to think of myself as being big and influential in this world. And yeah, I'm glad that my followers are going up and stuff. Not because of numbers, just because of helping. Well, the numbers are nice too, but just because of helping people. But I'd also like people to laugh. And if anything, I feel like even since I was younger, people know me best as being like sarcastic and funny. And I'd like to be sarcastic and funny in its own like separate like pocket. And then I'll, like, if you want to cry with me, then switch over to my YouTube channels where I cry. All right, my arm hurts, so I'm going to go. Bye, everyone. See you soon. Bye.